I had this notebook where I wrote that book down. I had it under my pillow.
А теперь я расскажу стихотворение. Александр Сергеевич Пушкин. Зимний вечер. Буря мглою небо кроет, вихри снежные крутя, то как зверем завоет, то заплачет, как дитя.
Pushkin in my life. By this time you already saw the snippets of the short video from my childhood. I decided let it be the sequences of videos on the topic of my childhood and things from childhood. So first the collections of things, then daydreaming and my favorite childhood movie, and now this. So first of all, well, my mom, she recited and read for me when she was pregnant with me, and then when I was 1 year old, she would read really long poems and prose of Pushkin. And well, I started talking when I was 9 months old, and not not only with words but with sentences already. And I really think that, I'm already raising my kid like that. I think that what you surround your kid with since a very early age, that really influences them, and that really has its role in their development as a person, their personality also. But of course you need to pay attention to what your children, they tend to have their heart for, because, for example, my kid was exposed to the musical instruments since 0 age, but he really shows the interest. He is always, every day he is always playing, and it's even now I can hear the drumsticks, and so he has this little guitar, and he has the drumsticks and the pad, and then piano, and I don't know what he chooses in the end. Maybe these several instruments, maybe one, but he is very musical besides the interests that he has. And I think that it's very important for parents to surround the kids with art and music and literature. Then they can choose, but still I think it didn't harm anyone. So yeah, that so the early reading, that early, so while still in the project, I would say I was still in the project, but those early readings and early exposure to the literature and this fascination with words and writing that I had since early age. Okay, I just noticed that I didn't record what I was talking about in the video. I make short videos, then edit. Sometimes I write the video all at once, but now I made the small ones, and I just noticed that the last one I didn't record anything. So I was talking about the fact that everything since my early age influenced me to the point where I am now, and the early exposure to the literature and reading, and first of all my love for reading. So it was always like that when I the more I read, the more I wrote. And I just always had this urge to put something down since like 7 years old, I guess, because even when I'm not writing poetry or prose, now prose maybe more than poetry, I always write like in a diary, or just before that there were periods of diaries, there were periods of short notes, that I still keep on my files, computer. So I just always needed to write something down, because I just can't keep that inside of me. And some people say still, like my friends, they tell me that they keep my letters. But yeah, that's probably a different topic, not very bright for me, because on the one hand, I love writing letters, and I treasure some letters that I got from my friends and family members and people I love, like many years ago, when maybe it was still a thing to exchange letters and emails. But it had probably a negative side in my life also, because there were times in my life where several times where I would write angry messages or letters, and I would send them, but then I would regret that big time. But you can't take it back. And probably that was a very good lesson for me, that not everything that comes to your mind needs to be put into words, or at least you need to, I guess, write it and keep it to yourself, or destroy it after you put all of your emotions and feelings down. So but still, I think it's a nice way for me, at least, to say something that probably that I can't tell in other way, especially now, since when you are far away from many people, and everyone is traveling, and everyone is changing locations, and you're just far away from people. That's a nice way to say something that maybe you can't put into a small message. But the main lesson here is do not write angry letters. And actually, Pushkin in my life also, I can say that maybe I read a lot of Pushkin in my childhood, but maybe in my teens, when it was a school program. And by the way, so Only Again by Pushkin, very smart book if you pay attention, because I read it in my teens when it was in the school program, but I guess in my case I didn't pay attention to what Pushkin wanted to say about the letters, first of all, also. But you live and you learn, and sometimes even, as I said before, even the smartest books can't help you. You just have to have this experience in order to write another smart book about the topic. And that is my journey in writing. So the early exposure to the literature, a very early one, and just this sense of rhyming. First of all, that I got that I would create songs. Maybe the first song that I wrote was when I was 8. Then when I was 12, I wrote first song. It was first a poem, then I turned it into a song. It was in English, and before that the songs were in Russian, and I even tried to write in Armenian, but maybe I don't have that many. So that's also, since 12 I really started writing songs also, but the poems also took place, and I just always had the sense of how to put words together, because I guess that this early reading and listening to poems constantly, it of course had its role and had its influence, something that was put into my subconscious mind, and it had its ways into words and music, maybe also. And so there's poems, songs, and then short stories, and then, the first book, and then the second, and all the others. But so I don't really see how in my at least in my story, in my life, how I could learn it any other way. For instance, I know that there are institutions, there were and are still not so many, but still there are institutions for universities for writers, and I just don't see how someone could teach me how to write. I never even took the time to read. No, I looked through, but I never took the time to read the books on how to write the books, because I don't. It's not pride. It's not something else. I just don't think that anyone could teach me really how to do what I can do myself already, and that's the way I do it. And even I don't see how you can teach the person to do what they do their best in a better way. Maybe you can take some advice, but first of all, it doesn't mean that you have to use it. Second of all, I guess the best things in this life are created by people who just, they took something from others, from probably writers too. Of course, my teaching was in reading, and I'm grateful for that, and I know that my teachers are those who taught their lessons in the books 200, 300, and sometimes more years ago. Well, some new, I joke like that it's like new in the period of 100 years, but the books of the 20th century also had their influence on me, but not as much as ones written before. Because I guess at that time people just had the time to really write, because there was nothing else going on, and they could just dwell into that really good. Yeah, the best teachers for me are the writers of the 18th, 19th century, and that's my school in terms of writing, and that's my university also. And so if you ask me how to write, because I had people asking me how to write poetry, how to write, well, I can only suggest that you read more and you find your own. Just write, first of all. The more you do, the better you become. And there are no ways and how to give tips on that, and that's my opinion at least. And now with AI, all these instruments of writing, I guess it only helps you to write as others do, but it doesn't mean that you'll find your own voice in that. But of course, well, for me it's very it's easier to write in like apps like Grammarly, because when I write, especially in English, I don't notice at first the mistakes I make, but then I go back. But it still takes time, because sometimes I write by hand, and if you know, it has, if you write by hand, it has the direct connection with your brain, so it stimulates the parts of your brain, the creative ones also, and well, your writing could potentially be better than if you just type. But of course, in terms of time, sometimes I just type in straight away. But still, I just also really enjoy writing by hand, and I am used to that. But so when I write by hand, again, I can make mistakes, and when I type that in, I still can look something, or just not notice something that I wrote in the wrong way, and so in that way, yeah, those instruments that are modified and beautified right now, they help, but not in terms of writing itself.